Welcome back, everyone. Well, this week you get 2 Sabaton reactions because they've got a brand new song out. I haven't heard it yet. I know what it's about, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Christmas Truce of 1914. I'm assuming that's what this song is about. That's the most famous Christmas truce I can think of. As always, there's a link in the description to the original content, as well as links to all of my other Sabaton reactions, so you can check those out for yourself. But let's go ahead and dive in to Christmas Truce. So just for some help with clarification, the Germans are in gray. French soldiers at this point are wearing blue with red pants.
Grenade! Grenade! Come on, man. Wake up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hannes.
That's Joachim.
Hannes! Come on!
That's Hannes, the drummer. Oh, Joachim's gonna play piano. Very Christmassy sounding too, I like it. So let's talk for a minute about what's happening at this point in the war. This is, the war begins end of July, beginning of August of 1914. For the first couple of months, it's an onslaught by the Germans. They get pretty close to Paris, but some mistakes are made, some things happen. They end up kind of repositioning some troops, and it bogs down into trench warfare by Christmas of 1914. And so by this point, that's where they're at. And so there are these assaults happening, and everything we think of as being World War I with the trench warfare and no man's land, all of that has kind of settled into place by the time we get to Christmas. But the idea of truces did not, like a ceasefire with men fraternizing between the lines, it doesn't happen at Christmas first. It actually, I think the earliest stories we have of that happening go back to November of that year, and it was a regular thing on the Eastern Front and the Western Front that there would be ceasefires in different sectors of the line so that they could come out and bury the bodies. There was actually fraternization that would be taking place. It was actually much more regular, I think, than people realize.
Silence! Oh, I remember the silence on a cold winter day. After many months on the battlefield, and we were used to the violence, then all the cannons went silent, and the snow fell. Voices sang to me from no man's land.
This is Voices Sang to Me from No Man's Land. And there are a ton of contemporary accounts of these Christmas truces that were happening. And I say truces because it wasn't something that was necessarily declared universally, but it was something that just kind of spontaneously happened. And then in some places it was actually ordered. But there were actually stories of men in, like, the German trench singing a song, like maybe Stille Nacht, which is Silent Night, which was written in German. And then the British or the French would respond with a song of their own. And then eventually they'd start lighting candles and Christmas trees are going up. And then eventually people would start popping their heads up and then kind of wandering into no man's land. We're all friends.
a war that never ends. Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing a holy night. Our guns lay to rest on old snowflakes. Our Christmas in the trenches, our Christmas on the throne, far from home.
Can you imagine being the first guy to pop your head up from the trench? There's actually one description I remember reading where they talk about, I think it was a British captain talks about smoking a cigar with the #1 sharpshooter on the German side in their sector. And there's stories of football matches breaking out, although you can imagine it might have been rather difficult on the ground that they were having. But there's at least, I think, 29 or 30 different accounts that people wrote home of football matches breaking out between the Germans and the Allies.
Madness, how I remember the sadness. We were hiding our tears in a foreign land where we faced our fears. We were soldiers, carried the war on our shoulders. For our nations, what are you doing? Is that when we bury our friends? We were all friends. And today we're all brothers, tonight we're all friends. Our moment of peace in a war that never ends.
Today we are all brothers. Tonight we are all friends. A moment of peace in a war that never ends. I mean, remember, this is the beginning of the war, 1914. They've got several years ahead of them. But man, this is just such a powerful reminder that people don't, war brings out the worst in people, and people do horrible things they might not have otherwise done in peacetime. But you don't have to lose your humanity in the midst of all of this. And I actually saw a thing today. Matthew Leach, who was in Band of Brothers, posted some pictures of his visit to a German war cemetery outside of Foy in near Bastogne. And he and I had an exchange where I said, listen, it's important for us to remember that a lot of those young boys dying on the German side in World War II, World War I, same thing. They were victims of circumstance too. They weren't the enemy. They weren't bad guys. They were just caught up in this horrible war, just like a lot of other people were. And it's such a powerful reminder that we can have our humanity in the midst of inhumanity.
Today we're all brothers, we drink and unite. Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. Hear carols from the trenches, we sing a holy night. Our guns lay to rest on old snowflakes. Our Christmas in the trenches, our Christmas on
Here's the football game. And yeah, it was probably more likely rather than real, there probably weren't too many places that could have an organized football match. It was probably more just them kind of kicking the ball around, like kids do and even adults do sometimes. And, just cool things like that happening. Back to grenades. And this is actually something else that happened during this time. There had been an assault, I know, in one particular sector, like a week before Christmas, and there were a lot of dead that were still laying out there. And this was a common thing throughout World War I, is that the dead just didn't get buried because they were in no man's land, and who's going to go out there to bury them? So a lot of them just died laid where they fell and decayed where they fell. But during the Christmas truce, there were burial parties. There's actually some photographs of some of the burial parties out intermingling during the Christmas truce. Oh, they're just putting it across. A Christmas card.
Now Christmas has arrived and the snow turns the ground white. On Christmas on the front line we walk among our friends. We don't think about tomorrow. The battle will commence when we celebrate your Christmas. We thought about our friends, those who never made it home when the battle had commenced.
So that cross actually reminds me of something. Let me take a look at this real quick. Yeah, so there's this, I don't even know where this is, but you can see here, 1914, 1999, 86 years. It's 85, but lest we forget, the Khaki Chums Christmas Truce. It's a memorial that was left behind by somebody that goes back to that. And here's one of the photos of the men intermingling during the Christmas truce, and I think there are a lot of drawings and paintings of this as well. That was good. I like that a lot. That's that cross, lest we forget. That was fantastic. I like that a lot. We'll probably do another video a little more in depth about the Christmas truce, a little closer to Christmas, because that's something I've had a lot of requests for in the past. And I think one year, maybe it was on my gaming channel, I did a cover of Garth Brooks' song Bellow Wood, which is a fictional account of the Christmas truce. Good stuff. Boy, that's an important reminder. Nobody who lives through war glorifies it. A moment of peace in the midst of madness. So let me know your thoughts. Use the comment section below. There's a link, like I said, to the original video as well as to some of my other Sabaton reactions. Thanks for watching.